This is week 4 of investing every week in the stock market. I started this series to document my journey in the stock market every single week just so that someone might get motivated and start investing and hopefully learn from my mistakes, saving them and maybe you a lot of money. If you're interested, as always, don't forget to smash the like button and the subscribe button. Every subscriber helps get this video to the right people. This week we have around $500 something to invest, some money that I deposited and some money left over from dividends that I've received throughout the month. My first buy, as always, is going to be in the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is an index tracking 500 of the biggest companies in the United States of America. This index has historically returned 10% on average over the last 40 years now. I make sure that the first buy I make every single week is in the S&P 500 because I like the growth that it brings. This week, we are going to buy 1 share of the S&P 500. I've already queued the order and done. My next investment is going to be in the NASDAQ 100. Similarly to the S&P 500, these are 100 of the biggest companies in the United States of America. It just so happens to be that the biggest companies are tech companies. Tech companies have added a lot of value over the last 5 years, and if you look at the NASDAQ, it's actually grown 166% over the last 5 years alone. If tech is not your jam, if you think tech is not going to do well in the future, this might not be the product for you. But for me, tech continues to add massive value, and all the future-looking industries are tech-focused, the biggest example being AI. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna place an order for 1 share of HXQ, or this ETF tracking the NASDAQ 100, to the order, and done. My next investment is going to be in a leverage S&P 500 ETF. The S&P 500 we've already covered. Leverage adds an extra element to that. This ETF, USSL, that I like is 25% leverage, which basically means that any returns are going to be magnified by 25%. Let's say that the S&P 500 goes up by 10%, this is going to go up by 12.5% minus leverage cost. But the flip side is also true. If the S&P 500 goes down 10%, this ETF is going to go down 12.5% plus leverage costs. Although for a long-term investor like myself that just buys and holds, this does seem to be a decent investment if I can withstand those roller coasters in the short term. So I'm going to go ahead and buy 1 share of USSL or the leverage S&P 500. Done. My next buy is going to be in the Canadian market through this ETF called VDY. This ETF tracks the TSX 60, which is the Canadian version of the S&P 500. The TSX 60 contains major Canadian industries like telecom, banking, and insurance, with the benefit being that this actually pays a nice dividend as well, at around 4.5%. So I'm going to go ahead and buy 2 shares of VDY, to the order, done. Now with my remaining money in this account, I am going to buy HYLD, or a covered call ETF tracking the S&P 500. The S&P 500 we've covered before. Covered calls are an option strategy that sacrifice long-term growth for income now. Depending on the ETF, they don't sacrifice all long-term potential growth, but only a percentage of it by writing calls on their holding. What that does is that takes away the long-term growth, but it gives you some nice income now. With HYLD in particular having a nice dividend yield at around 11%. I don't put a lot of money into this. As you can see, I'm only going to buy 2 shares, which is $28. It is enough to keep me interested and motivated to keep on investing. So 2 shares of HYLD, done. My next buy is actually going to be in crypto. Ethereum, or the second biggest cryptocurrency on the planet, is my choice for cryptocurrency long term. Even though Bitcoin has been doing extremely well over the last year, I believe that Ethereum has a stronger ecosystem in terms of the companies developing on it. Particularly in the finance niche, there's a lot of interesting problems being solved with Ethereum. Not a lot of money here, only $50 at the end of the day, but I think investing in the crypto market for a young investor like myself makes sense if it's controlled. I'm not YOLOing all my money, it's just $50, but why not? Done. Now we're just going to be investing leftover money from dividends in all of my accounts. The first account we're going to handle is the FHSA, or the First Home Savings Account, an account made by the Canadian government to help first-time home buyers pay for the first down payment of their first house. I said first too many times there. We only have $32 here, so my choice of investment is going to be an all-equity approach that has some modest leverage, or HEQL. I'm going to go ahead and buy 1 share of HEQL. This ETF has the US market, Canadian market, and some international exposure, perfectly balanced and a good approach for money that I might withdraw in the near future to pay for a down payment. Review the order, queue it, done. We're gonna move along swiftly to my TFSA, or the tax-free savings account. This account allows you to withdraw money tax-free completely, no matter if you have millions. So I try to buy things that are relatively aggressively growth-focused in this account. For this month, this could mean buying some USSL. I actually don't have a single share of USSL in this account, so I'm actually gonna buy my first share of USSL live. One share in the TFSA, $23, queue the order, done. We do have $15 left, so I might go ahead and actually buy HYLD. Let's see if it lets me. It does. Queue the order, done. There goes my theory of buying growth-focused investments in the TFSA only, but it's just one share. It's just one share, please. Please leave me, don't come at me. The last account is the RRSP that has $18 left, but I think I'm done buying covered call ETFs for this week, and I'm just gonna leave this for next week. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like button and the subscribe button, and also let me know what you're investing in, because I could use some motivation for some of my picks. Let me know if you agree with me or disagree with me when it comes to my investment philosophy and how I could improve it. Always looking to learn and always hoping that you learn something as well. I'll see you in the next one.